agencies that are government agencies, prime example, like the CIA, they created a nonprofit organization called IntelQ, which then partners with these new startups in these incubator situations, and then, you have their stock or then the bigger company stock.
And, that's what
I find it very interesting of tracking the new assets. Some forensic accountant would, I think, have a new field day. It's a new thing to track,
It definitely is, and what we're talking about, I definitely did see in that movie, again, Eraser, with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Vanessa Williams, with her working for a corporation that developed energy weapons, actually trying to hide from the public. Or she was actually going public with the fact that they even existed and they weren't supposed to. So when these corporations partner up with these federal agencies, a lot goes down. I mean, obviously there's greed involved, money laundering, fraud, until they get caught. And then, it's time for them to go to jail. But for those people that become whistleblowers, it's not always safe because you put your life on the line.
Correct.
And because, I guess, they feel threatened that someone's going to expose something, that's when they start following you, harassing you, and all of that. But, I'm just one of those people, I'm not the type to get intimidated. I want to do what's right. And I believe that if you work in the federal government, public service is a public trust, and you have to maintain the public's trust. So it's really important if you see an agency breaking the law.
Okay, I gotta fast forward this because I misjudged where that time segment was at. See, it's been a while since I've listened to this audio file. It's been at least 3 or 4 months. Bear with me a second, folks.
But instead it takes a week or 10 days, just delayed.
For relatives that have arisen, that was, helping me. So neutral everybody responds, we react differently to this technology. So to try to standardize such a thing is definitely in the realms of, I found out that a professor told him,
And Holocaust we own, but people, but it's
back in 1990,
was brought out.
we were just talking about this, Dr. Hildy, the hearings on hidden experimentations. It was 1996 congressional hearings on MK Ultra mind control. President engaged in digital single victims of you acknowledgement would do. And I believe freedom was mentioned in this article.
Excellent.
And then the evaluation of Project MK Ultra, Project Monarch, and the Nazi mind control.
Alright, if I can't find it here in the next minute or two, I gotta let you go.
Which is, for any federal worker, they always say public service is a public trust. I want to add to this that when I went to the Bioethics Commission hearing that was conducted, one of the things that they mentioned is science is a public trust as well. And when you have bad science, then obviously...
Alright, let me rewind this. Yeah, see, I got stuff to do today, folks, and this video has already thrown my schedule off like you would not believe.
are aware on an intellectual level as to what this stuff really is. So getting back to what is an RFID, it is a method storing data on people. It's illegal. But yeah, I mean, information about a person is stored. So this could be everything from your bank records to where you live, who you're involved with. And you know, it's definitely a disadvantage for the person who becomes a victim of this.
Right, and I want to add, because there's another side to the RF, when you can make it as a nano CMOS or these smaller types of RF sensors that are now being put in medications, that may be in different glues that are used in, putting in a new hip or anything in the body. The thing is that when it's interfaced from, like you explained earlier on the slides about voice to skull, there's also, because of the computer and everything, the bioelectric dictionary, which is a bunch of brain waves and the responses that come when you have fear, pain, happiness, etc. It can be mapped, remotely from your brain if you have these materials in you, and then that can go into a cloud network, and those experiences can be picked and choosed and put into another situation, of another person or anything. It's really happening, and that was in May issue of Smithsonian Institute's magazine.
So let me tell you let me just give you a fast, brief introduction to that. And there's other doctors on the internet exposing that as well. Dr. John Hall, I got the audio files, Dr. John Hall has exposed that. So say if you're in a situation, in fact, let me just go ahead and put it to you metaphorically. Say if you're a gang-stalking victim who's been made homeless, right? And, let's say you're a gang-stalking victim who's got an apartment, and the sick little maggots can use next-door neighbors. I've even seen other victims state this. Literally, I got at least 2 snap screenshots from other victims state on Twitter that their neighbors are threatening to call the cops on them and having them evicted. So say if you got a gang-stalking victim who's in an apartment, right? And their neighbors are yelling, "We're going to get you out of here. We're going to have you evicted," and blah, blah, blah. And then they'll say other things like possibly, "Oh my God, we're going to have him evicted. Oh my God, we got to get him out of here." And then he gets evicted. And then while he's moving, his neighbors are yelling, "Oh my God," and laughing. So what you got to understand is that's one of the ways that gang-stalking crimes, see, because whenever a person hears "Oh my God," that excites the startle response in the brain. There's a feature in the brain called the startle response. And that's why a lot of times when you see devastating events like a car wreck or even 9/11, go on YouTube and watch some of the YouTube videos dedicated to 9/11, and you're seeing people watch the planes going, the towers on fire, congregating on New York streets. Massive amounts of people are saying "Oh my God," because they're startled. They're seeing a trauma, they're being traumatized, and they're seeing a traumatic event as they're experiencing one. So they're saying "Oh my God," because the brain is freaked out. It's called the startle response. Okay? Now watch what happens here when you see me state "Oh my God." Oh my God. Oh my God. Gang, stalk, suck, dick. Almost the same frequencies and decibels, because the pronunciation of speech has dedicated phonetic sound frequencies and decibels, and that's what's been caught on 9,800 audio files. Oh my God, gang stalking SD being said along my routes. Okay? Absolutely. Plus, I got a picture showing ear implants being directly connected to trigger words. And then later on in the pictorial attachment, it shows how once the trigger words are processed, organs start to hurt. Okay, so the trigger words are connected to the cochlear ear implant in this pictorial attachment. I don't have it handy right now. And then the ear implant processes the words. The portion radio wave that gets created goes into the surrounding implants to the kidney, the liver. Okay, and then they receive radiation. So do you see how these sick fucking maggots are operating? Absolutely. Any sound has a frequency and decibel. Absolutely. Right? So, like right now, when you see these right here, you see these right here? Now watch. Now, right before I said now, after I said watch, and up until I said now, those dedicated frequencies, this is frequency hopping. Okay, and it's occurring really fast right now, too, which means that they're after a lot. Oh, absolutely. So if I was to take those dedicated sound frequencies in decibels and run them through a tone generator app, hold on. If I was to run them through a tone generator app, bear with me a second, like this one right here, where you can create multiple waves. So let's go one here, okay, then one here. Okay, so that's 3 waves right there. One dedicated to 612, one dedicated to and I'm going to set them all at 50 decibels because that's what the sound spectrum analyzer app was picking up, generally 50 decibels. Okay, right? All right. So watch what you hear. So what do you hear? A scratchy tone. Yet when I bring this up through the sound spectrum analyzer app, you're not hearing anything. Is it because what they're doing is using ELF? ELF can only be heard by the victim. Okay? But the sound spectrum analyzer app picks it up. Okay? Airplane's coming in right now, so you can't see it because it's going to be picking up it. Now, I got a feeling that these ones over here, like let's say from 130 to 230 here, are dedicated to possibly the ears, the eyes, and the nose, concerning what's going on there. Okay? Absolutely. But you see, this sound spectrum analyzer app is still picking up the sounds in the environment. Okay? Even the ones that you can't hear. Because think about it, why am I hearing a scratchy tone every single fucking day at wooded areas? And then sometimes when I go to places like libraries and coffee shops where I'm being gang stalked at. Let me, hold on. Go ahead and find your bread. It's a bird. It'll pick up even the sound frequency of a bird. So you take that, when I don't say anything, you take what this picks out and you play it in a tone generator app that allows you to play multiple tones. Okay? So let's go back to playing this.
Wow. Yeah, it really is, and that's the thing. I mean, when we go back, as you said last time, and look at some of these movies that came out, back in like 1996 or even earlier, maybe.
The Schwarzenegger movies, they were phenomenal.
Yeah.
We got Terminator, Eraser, End of Days, what other?
Okay, folks, now I did find that part where he briefly talked about RFIDs and the fact that they can use them as a tracker, okay? But there is another part of this audio that showed him talk about implants, but I don't remember what time segment it was of from this particular audio file, and I gotta go. I gotta let you go. So when I make another video, I'll show you the part of the audio file. Hang on a second, I'm a little distracted. I'll show you the part of the audio file that segues into him discussing. And they discuss it for about, and it's a good part too. In fact, I'll make that video later on today. That shows them absolutely. In fact, it literally even shows Dr. Hildegard Stanger openly state that one of the cochlear implants is charged by them running a wire down and placing it into the heart. where the beeping of the beat of the heart creates a specific electrophysiological signal. Let's see if it's coming up here. Hold on.
Thingy played in, but the one with the cloning and everything. The thing is that it was happening in the 90s, early 90s, end of the 80s, and then now we're having it in real world. I mean, it's a commercial enterprise in China to clone and strengthen animals, beef, and other types of genetically engineered, clone, animals and that.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the potential for abuse with this technology, and that's the thing. I mean, a lot of things that a lot of targeted individuals or crime victims are complaining that they're becoming victims of this technology, and it can be used in a negative way to impact someone and such a battle potentially ruined. So,
and I want to add too, it can be used too if it's the interface of the mind for the subconscious and the conscious. It can be used in a negative way of spirit to interface, not whatever your belief system is, but to circumvent that grounding within your body.
Okay, so I just remembered I forgot to tie off that statement. So say if you got a target who's in their apartment and their neighbors are yelling, "Oh my God, what's wrong with him? You got to get him out of here. He can't stay here anymore," right? Then they create a staged event, staged complaint. The victim gets evicted, and then as they're evicted, so when the victim is hearing all this, they start feeling kind of intense fear, because the host of this crime, who's using the neighbors, know that this victim has no one to depend on. Okay, so they know if they get evicted, they're going to end up homeless, right? So as they're experiencing these threats, okay, the brain is being interacted with remote neural monitoring. Okay, and what they can do then is heterodyne those brain waves of fear onto the brain, and so the victim believes the fear they're feeling is from what they're hearing from the neighbors. Oh my God, so in other words, they're hearing a threat, and then the brain starts being driven into thinking about what's going to happen to them if they end up homeless. And they can also be using simultaneous voice-to-skull with voice morphing to make the victim believe they're having resulting thoughts about what they're hearing, while they're simultaneously heterodyning a brainwave onto the brain. It's just nothing but a captured, harvested emotional cluster frequency taken from another victim. And that's what Dr. Hildegard Stanger was talking about a few minutes ago when she said that they can create an encyclopedia of brainwaves. So if you got a brainwave of somebody who's enduring something that's causing them to have intense fear, and that brain is being monitored with remote neural monitoring as that fear is being processed, what they can do is harvest that emotional cluster frequency of fear from that one victim, put it in their neural software. Okay, you can research like how they create. There's many software programs like concerning this, like types of software that would be dedicated to brain-to-computer interface, artificial neural networks. Okay, so what they do is they harvest that those emotions from that victim. Dr. John Hall's even talked about this, and then they clone them onto an artificial neural network, and then retransmit them and place them back onto that victim's brain, so they endure fear as they're experiencing a threat, while they can also be enduring simultaneous voice-to-skull with voice morphing. The target hears the threat. They know the victim's hearing the threat through the cochlear ear implant. So right when the victim hears the threat, they'll use the cochlear ear implant to transmit voice-to-skull with voice morphing. Oh, if I get evicted, I'm going to end up homeless. Where am I going to go? And the victim thinks that it's just their thought in response to what they heard, while the brain is simultaneously enduring fear that's being placed on it. Okay? So you go back into this video and listen to that part where she said they can take a brainwave that's got fear on it and place it back onto another victim in another circumstance. This is how these sick fuckers are setting people up all over the nation. Okay? They can place anger onto you, fear, despair, happiness, sadness, and much more. It's brain manipulation. You fucking better believe it is. intense fear. So say then once they make Joe homeless, he goes to a wooded area, and then they prop up something in the environment like a transmitted statement through the criminal use of holosonic speakers. This is literally how fucking bad Gangstalking is. I kid you not, I literally got an audio file that shows ex-NSA employee Karen Melton Stewart openly discuss about how they're using holosonics, the audio spotlight, and then so holosonics is just real fast is a type of speaker system where they can place the speakers up in an area, and if you're in a wooded area, they can place them fucking anywhere. Oh, absolutely. And what holosonic speakers will do is it will invert the sound to a specific predetermined geographical spot. So they can take the sound of people talking when there's no one in the area at all. In fact, this audio file even talks about it later on into it. Oh, absolutely. Where they can place the sound of somebody walking and somebody talking. And you hear it, but yet it sounds like it's less than 20 feet away from you. And you fucking look and there's no one there. Okay, so right when they're doing that, because it's predetermined for them to do that, it's all set up and recorded, so they know when they're going to project it. So right when they project it, right afterwards, they'll heterodyne onto the brain one of those fear episodes, where it's nothing but a heterodyned emotional cluster frequency of fear that's being imposed on the brain, the current brainwave of the victim, and the current brainwave is the ultrasound. Yeah, when you compare what an ultrasound wave looks like to go to Google and type in what does an EEG brainwave look like, boom, there you can see it. And then when you research artificial neural network software, you'll see it. And they're just imposing, onto the current brainwave, which is being done through ultrasound, that emotional cluster frequency of fear, because it's being transmitted into the part of the brain that's dedicated to fear and emotions and brain states. This is a little bit complex, I'm aware of it, and I know this is creating a hole in your understanding, because if you don't have the educated, if you've never went to school for artificial and took classes for artificial neural networks or brain science, then yeah, you're going to have holes in your understanding, but I'm trying to explain it in a layman's way so you can see it. Okay? All right? So I'll play just a couple more minutes of this, and I really gotta let you go.
Too.
Yes, and
Especially the higher ones, by higher ones, meaning the technologies that you have actual visual experiences in your mind when you're walking and trying to cross the street. You've got holographic imaging, etc. And there can be a lot of bad thoughts transferred. That's what I'm going to say. Okay?
well, and there's not a bad thing about all of this, because that's when individuals that are not crazy are actually written off as unstable or delusional or whatever it is. But that's really not the case. I mean, it's a manipulation of the mind, and every stage I'm hoping as more and more individuals listen to One Cell, One Light Radio, and other media, they talk to their congressmen or their local senators and are able to help expand legislation that really addresses a lot of these abuses that are happening. So this information, getting back to the slide, and as Dr. Hildy was explaining, is transmitted via radio waves to a reader, which captures data and sends us data over a network host or processor. And a lot of people can't even conceive of something like this, but it definitely happens. On the next slide, privacy concerns. These chips allow you to be tracked without your consent, and this annoys a lot of people. I know when I would see people from Naval Audit Service in my neighborhood, and I know they didn't live there, it would really make me feel uncomfortable, because then I would say, why are they even here? What are they doing? How do they know I live here? Because I never told them.
And on the other side, they were doing their job, but at the same time, there's that fine line of doing it with permission and not with permission of your body.
Yes, and I know when I was in my apartment in Arlington, I know that they were doing something strange, because all of a sudden my vision kind of became distorted, and I would see, it almost looked like they were shooting something into the environment and right into my apartment that looked like a radio wave. you shower or use the restroom, and I would categorize this under sexual harassment. Vulnerability to sexual harassment, electronic rape, and illegal human experimentation, trafficking if you live alone, intellectual property theft. These would be anyone's thoughts, because we've had in the past, as Dr. Hildy and I discussed on the last show, inventors like James Wahlberg who actually, became victims of targeting because they were entrepreneurs and inventors, and they were targeted and actually had to go to court. And the one name that constantly comes up is the Department of Defense for the intellectual property theft, which is just baffling because they're supposed to protect United States citizens, not harass them or steal from them.
And let me add something to this, Robert, that in the turn as former President Eisenhower, when he was alive, he said, "Beware of the military-industrial complex," and many people have quoted him on that. The thing is, though, under new directions, I'm going to call it directions, where the university systems of many universities in the United States and the world, they started an incubator. And in that incubator, some of these creative inventors will participate. And the goal of the incubator is to bring that technology forward, match it with an investment company, match it with a commercial entity that can take it worldwide, etc. But the thing is that the universities now have spin-offs, which are foundations, that are university foundations, that are private corporations, that then partner to exchange in stock or anything for the royalty of the assigned technology. The assigned technology then is partnered with the government if they funded the initial small business developmental grants, or the NRL labs, or the CREAL, or any of these types of research funding. Then our government, which is, they have the right to this, is that they can use that technology in military or government entity like DOD, and then filter it down to the systems.
Now, the thing about this, though, folks, is that these sick demonic filth that are hosting this crime, they know they're slowly murdering us intentionally with specific criminal intent and malice aforethought. So whether they're contracting it out or not, what you need to understand, at least in the state of Michigan, there's a law that's called apparent authority. And the law, that what that stands for is that when anybody works on behalf of another person and engages in a criminal act, then the employer is also responsible for that criminal act. So, and there's also, though, some other, when you go to apply for a Freedom of Information request, okay, I've seen reports where fusion centers, which are reported to be a private entity, even though fusion centers are basically usually state police, but they have been chartered to be a private entity, which then is concerning, at least what's reported, which then prohibits people from getting information from them through the Freedom of Information. So do you see how these sick little maggots are protecting themselves? Okay. Plus, NSA letters are also heavily reported to be used to protect this crime. Okay, because there's a lot of gag order shit, okay, connected to the criminal application of NSA letters and the criminal uses of classification laws. Okay, classification laws literally have in them exemptions that literally state you cannot use a classification law to conceal a crime, but they still go in court and claim classification. So if they claim classification, then how are you going to be able to get into the files in order to see that they're involved in criminal conduct? I mean, this is how demented these sick fucks are. So there is a paper trail connected. So, like, say if you got certain implants in you. These are biomedical implants, whether they've been modified after they've been bought or not. Okay, which means, so say if they dupe you into going into the hospital, okay, like they did to me in Michigan, like you would not believe, right? Okay, so say if they dupe you into going to the hospital, and there's many ways they can fucking implant you in the hospital, because think about this, Those islands implants that I showed you earlier in this video, I have no memory whatsoever of how they got there. Not one memory. And I've only had consensual surgery my entire life once, and that was when I got my wisdom teeth pulled in 85. So how the fuck did they get in there? Think about that. Okay? Oh, absolutely. So what you can understand about these biomedical implants is that they got manufacturers, then they got people who sell them, which are vendors, then you got the people who buy them. They also got dedicated FCC codes concerning the radio spectrum that's interfacing with them. Okay, then you got the criminal use of cell phone towers. If the radio signal is being sent from a cell phone tower. Okay, absolutely. Like, there's got to be an emitter on this fucking property, because when I hear this scratchy tone, which I've shown you, its dedicated frequencies and decibels through the sound spectrum analyzer app, and then took a few of them and put them through the tone generator, and you literally heard a scratchy tone through it, but yet you can't hear the scratchy tone in the environment. That's because it's more than likely an ELF emitter. That's a fucking absolutely. So that emitter has got a manufacturer. It's either an emitter or an antenna. Okay? Oh, absolutely. So these biomedical implants, when they were made, they got a see, because I know enough about purchase, because I used to work in grocery stores back in Michigan. And I was an assistant manager for Little Caesars for a long time. So I know all about purchasing. Absolutely. You purchase something from a manufacturer or a vendor. The vendor purchases it from the manufacturer or another vendor. But that original vendor, the first vendor, got it from the manufacturer. So there's sales receipts connected to this shit. Okay? Then you got the dedicated FCC signals dedicated to these implants. Then you got, and you even got, oh, absolutely. The cochlear implant itself has got a dedicated, the people who, the patent holder for it, for one. And then if it got manufactured, the manufacturer that sells them. Okay, then when he sells it, the purchaser. This shit is traceable. Okay, even if you gotta try and wade yourself through a bunch of different purchasers, one gets handed off to another. Like, it gets handed off from the manufacturer to the vendor, from the vendor to a university, from the university, a hospital, to a research group. This shit is traceable. But how the fuck you gonna be able to trace it when you're kept in everyday, non-stop, sick bitch-ass torture, okay, that literally immobilizes you? I kid you fucking not. That literally immobilizes you. Hold on a second. Physically, okay, while they got the rest of your life turned down. Okay? Oh, absolutely. They target your finances. They stage vehicle accidents so you can't have a fucking vehicle. They make you fucking homeless so you don't have a house. Then they use the homelessness against you endlessly. Okay? So getting back to tying up that statement concerning hollow sonics, what you got to understand here is that, and this audio file literally talks about and this has even been exposed on national radio, where a woman who wrote a book about this crime was on Coast to Coast AM a few years back. And she stated that victims are reporting hearing sounds in their environment when no one's there. Well, this audio file says the same thing. Okay? See, because what you gotta understand is that when these sick fuckers are interfacing with you with remote neural monitoring, they're monitoring the brain waves of your brain activity, your neurons. That includes perceptions, your senses, your brain states, your thinking responses, every fucking thing. Okay? So if they want you to look in a certain direction because you hear a sound, they got to get you to hear the sound. Okay? If they want to create a thinking response based on that sound, or if they want you to believe the voice is called with voice morphing, where they interject the artificial thoughts about what type of sound it is. And a lot of times they'll project certain sounds based on the type of sounds that they, like, because say if they stage an event on May 1st and have a homeless person come up to your area and create a problem, whether he assaults you or not, well, before you have that physical interaction with him, he'll be told to make a sound. Okay? And then you got the visual imagery of what you've seen through that person. So when you research memory mapping and remote neural monitoring, most of your memories are visual. So you're presented with the sound, and right when you hear the sound, which they know when you're hearing it because they're intentionally projecting it at that specific second, plus the cochlear ear implant is allowing them to know you've heard it. Okay? Through the ultrasound, because everything you fucking hear, everything you see goes on the ultrasound. Okay? That's why they're doing all this sick shit. It's one of the reasons why they're doing all this sick shit. So on May 1st, they create a staged event where you and right before the staged at a wooded area. So right before the staged event, they'll have the homeless asshole that they use for it. They'll intentionally tell him to make noise in the leaves as he's walking. They'll tell him to break a stick. You know, like how sticks will break when you're walking on the ground. Okay. So you hear the leaves, you hear the stick breaking, then you look up and you see him. So both those sounds and you seeing him becomes visual and auditory memories. Okay? And then, so let's say then he then assaults you or threatens you or makes you feel threatened. That's done so that they can induce fear, so they can harvest those fear emotional cluster frequencies that ride on remote neuromonitoring through ultrasound. So they got to create the scenarios to induce the response. Okay? The response is the fear, the thinking responses, okay? Or to get the brain to believe the voice-to-skull with voice morphing, which is the artificial thought based on what you're seeing and hearing. Like, it's reported they'll interject thoughts of, oh, here comes an asshole, what's going to happen? Okay? Because they want you to believe the fear that they're heterodyning onto you at that moment when you're seeing the shit and hearing the shit, or your real fear. Okay? And then what they'll do then on subsequent dates is this loop those types of sounds through hollow sonics and project it into your environment to make you think a person is coming into your environment in order to excite the startle response, in order to get you to fucking look, in order to get you to fucking wonder. And that's done for additional reasons too, to create hypervigilance in the stomach. You know, there's literally even implants that they can put in the diaphragm and or the lung. I've seen the information on the internet where they can put implants in the diaphragm, the lungs, so that when you endure the startle response, your brain your brain sends the fear signal to your stomach area, and your stomach will contract. Your lungs will take in a big, gigantic, deeper breath, and when that lung inflates, it will activate a scaffold implant. And then that scaffold implant can be connected to the gastric implant. And then the gastric implant can be connected to making sure that your body processes radiation so that you end up having the food you just ate the day before ends up getting processed to the small and large intestines at a much more accelerated rate. So your body doesn't get, your liver, your kidney, and your muscles don't get the nutrients from the food you ate the night before. Then you start noticing that you're losing weight. Okay? There's many ways these sick fuckers can, oh, you just would not believe. So what do you hear and see? Oh, absolutely. What do you hear and see the Lawyer Video Series videos? Oh, absolutely. So I'm just going to play this for a couple minutes and then I literally got to let you go. And we're going to see if this segues into another video. And trust me, I got a reason for saying that.
It's really becomes troublesome because one of the things that the companies out there want to maintain is their integrity. But I don't see how integrity is maintained here, because when this technology is used in a negative way, it can be used for personal gain, as everyone knows. So, for example, remote monitoring during standardized or board exams. Those exams are to remotely monitor someone while they're taking a standardized exam is giving that person a upper hand on that material that's been created. So integrity becomes an issue.
Right, because they could even send them the answers.
Yeah, that's the problem. And,
right, and I want to add, too, that in these standardized board areas, they usually have...
Alright, I'm getting up to go reorientate my solar panels. I'm pausing this. Alright, it's a continuation of the recording of that audio.
Of routers or devices that amplify the signal of the wireless signals, because they also may have a notepad like the Chromes, the Google Chromes, or any of these, and that amplifies the electrical field in that area. So not only are you having the theft or the an energy increase in that particular room or area, and that the first response to the human body is the loss of water, because the body gets hotter or warmer. And if you're in the direct line of that ray of sound or anything, coming from that the Wi-Fi system, if you're in that vector of it, turn around. That could be in your ear. It could cause calcification or anything, and you lose hearing or have pain. There's many factors that are going to be seen as the physiological factors as it gets written about or the books come out on it. But it's happening now.
Yeah, it is, and it's very, very troublesome because of the potential abuses, and not even potential abuses. I mean, people, it's human nature to try to get ahead.
Okay, so let me show you this real fast.
I know I've learned that in class, and until people are caught with something that they're doing to have personal gain or personal advantage over someone else, they continue to do these things. So, getting back to the slides, one of the things I wanted to
So this is right here. This is it right here. Now, what do you hear this? Let me just take a look at this because I'm going to make a notation concerning the time frame. All right, so listen.
with everybody. I originally had an individual who, without naming names, who also became a victim of illegal implants. And in his case, he actually had 2 articles recently that came out about just, him having surgery in regards to this, and really wanted justice on this. And so when I originally sent him my CT scans back in 2012, he was able to pinpoint exactly where I was implanted. So some of the implants that came out, because I was so new to all of this, I didn't know what to think. But he found an implant in my lobe. There were brain implants. I didn't even know what leads were. Dr. Hildy, would you like to touch in on the leads? Because
the leads, like it's showing in the diagram, which is on, I think, slide 17. At the bottom, they call it scalp blank leads, cochlear implants. The cochlear implants it can even be a polymer base within the ear, and the leads are like a wire, which can be a nanowire or bigger materials, an actual electrical lead that goes down into the chest area. It can use the energy of the heart or that area, or it can have a battery source in that area that sends the electrical power to here.
A lot of people, and we're going to cover this in another slide, sometimes they'll complain about, for example, if they charge their phone or have a battery-operated watch, the battery is drained. So does this technology have the capability of draining that power to charge itself?
Well, not only charge itself, but also to drain it, because the device may be more powerful, and it just fries the phone or fries the electronic device that is weaker than it.
That makes sense, yeah. Well, wow. Well, I mean...
Because and I want to add, a lot of these materials, especially on the nano level of the materials, and it starts out as a little nano size or atom size or caviar, and goes bigger. It goes bigger because it uses the body materials or whatever to grow into the tool, the piece parts to make the device, okay? It's like 3D printing. There's bio 3D printing. The thing is, so those type of devices are designed to go to the neurojunction or the main area of the nerve, so that it can impregnate or go deeper down into the nerve channels, so that it can use the sodium chloride, the chloride channels or anything, and run the electricity or amplify it so it becomes its battery. That's why a lot of people feel drained and everything. It's neat when you can see it and put it together and have the time to assess it. But it's really man-made designed, because our human body wasn't designed that way. And also, I want to say, when you do experience and get these parts out, one is the larger parts that are manufactured versus the ones that can expand in the body. I want to share something that's this, meaning I did a paper several years ago. It was a criteria document for EA. It was on modified food starch. My great concern at that time as the author was that they're putting waterborne polyurethane powders, mixing it with half food starch being potato starch, corn starch, etc. These are materials that we use in cooking every day and even commercially, but now we're putting styrene in it, which is a known carcinogen, and who wants to eat styrofoam cups? And these materials are...
Okay, now folks, I gotta let you go, but before I do, I want to show you something here real fast. Here, look in a second, I gotta get it out. See, I got these printouts, but I didn't spend the time to get these printouts stapled, so I want to make sure that these printouts don't get accidentally, I want to make sure that they don't get mixed up. I gotta keep them separate from each other. And then I'm gonna let you go. Now I want you to pay very close attention to this right here. Research that. Bring that up. Bring that title up that you see right there. Okay. Now I'm gonna set the phone back down because I gotta go into a page in it. Bear with me a second. Okay. Oh, hold on a second. Okay. Okay, now first thing I'm going to do is show you this right here. This right here is the surgery description that would be involved in this type of implantation that you're about ready to see. Okay? Okay? So bring the article up, go to where it says surgery description. Bring that up. Okay? Alright? Now bear with me. Oh, and by the way, I want you to also pay attention to this because this is going to be very relevant. Functional testing, that's going to be very relevant in the, it's going to be a section of how, it's going to play a role in relevance information that's going to be dumped in the lawyer videos, series videos. Absolutely. Alright, now I'm looking for a picture here. Okay, because I got to make sure I keep this in order. Okay, now, let me show you this. This is going to blow your mind. Now, I want you to take a look at this. This is part of that printout. Okay, so when you bring the article up, you'll see it. Okay, so what do you see here? You know, this right here shows the implantation. This right here shows some of the inside of where they put stuff, the cup electrodes and everything. This right here shows where they put implants directly below the armpit on the side torso, right there. Okay, and this part of the muscle, because you've got to remember, this is an x-ray. Okay, so you're seeing the bone, but you got to remember that there's muscle and skin right next to it. So there's another implant right there that's put in the muscle. Okay, all right. Now you go back over here and you see a more detailed illustration of everything that's put in you. Now, I got absolute dumps that are occurring in my neck directly at the very spot you see up in here. I got dumps that are going down into the neck to that spot, to that spot, to that spot. Where do you see this, folks? Oh, absolutely. And I got bumps on my neck right at these very spots. Now, what do you see right here on the shoulder? What do you see right there? Another bump. Well, what do you see right there? That was captured in live video on August 9th, 2022 at a wooded area up of Gilman Road. Okay, those are lasers interfacing with that very spot to the neck, and to the shoulder. What do you see here? Okay, neck and shoulder. Boom. They're busted. Okay, now what do you see some of this other stuff? Do you see it again? Absolutely. So bear with me a second. What do you see there? Same video, came from the same video. Okay, but I'm not going to talk about that in this particular video. What do you see there? Okay, this was all captured from the video. Absolutely. All right, what do you see there? Okay, that one's going directly to the side of the cheek. Now this would have to do with probably implants in the face. Okay, to the chin, down to the shoulder. Okay, absolutely. Oh, what do you see? What do you see? What I'm going to do? This right here, burn mark right on top of the shoulder. Okay, what do you see over there? Okay, you would not believe what's happening to me, folks. You literally would not believe it. This right here is underneath. Okay, where? Side torso. Absolutely. It's time to throw down. Okay. This laser beam went across the left eye and literally lit up the right eye. That's got to do with the island's implants. Absolutely. See, they're not allowing me to get no help because they know if they can continue this crime, it's going to end up killing me. This is a beam literally hitting me at the top of the head. And sent from the same video. And I got audio files showing me state on prior dates before that video captured that evidence, showing me state I'm being hit at the center of the forehead, right at the hairline. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, baby cakes and munchkin butts. Now, what I'm doing right now is I'm going to look for that one picture. There's the attached picture in here from that used to be on UnitedTargetIndividuals0.com's website. This right here was caught on this property I'm on right now. Absolutely. They're literally killing me. Because they look at it this way. They'll make money off the research. The research, when they interface with you, what they're doing is that they're taking all the data that the neurological and biological systems. Okay, that right there is my forehead. Calcifications as a result of my head being hit. The energy goes down in through the veins, and it creates calcification bumps. Absolutely. That occurred between August 13th and 16th, 17th, 2023 at an area that I can look at from here. I can see the tree dedicated to it from here. Absolutely. I went through an extreme torture episode on that date. Absolutely. One day after I made printouts from the library showing that, and I got those in my backpack right now, showing those veins. I printed it out at the library. I went on some websites and found the veins dedicated to the forehead. I printed them out, and the very next day I experienced a 4-day torture episode that produced calcifications right in those very veins. I kid you not. I got the printouts. And I also saved those websites that I printed out in email files, showing that those email files with those pictures in it of the veins in the forehead were saved on August 12th, and then I started during the attack on the 13th. So what you want to do is take a snap screenshot of this. Okay, there's the cochlear ear implant trigger words. Okay, Gangstalking's connection to the trigger words. The words get processed through the cochlear ear implant. Okay, the victim starts enduring pain, anger, depression. Organs start getting attacked as a result. There's the implant put in the middle of the brain with the lead that goes on the top of the head, goes down to the back of the neck, to an implant in the chest, and you would not believe the burns I've endured there at the chest area. Then there's one here in the back of the head, the back of the neck, 3 on the spine. Okay? So in closing, let me bring you up just a couple fast things here, and then I gotta let you go. Okay, so remember this right here? These are implants put in the side torso and directly underneath the armpit, and then one in the arm. So let's go here. Okay, this is my side torso. This would make me an instant multi-millionaire overnight if I was able to sue these psychotic filth. This is my neck. Okay, what do you notice here? Okay, implants in the neck. They're busted. They fucking know they're busted. You better believe it. Take a snap screenshot of that. Let me zoom in on it. Okay, now you might not be able to read the text very well. The website I got this picture from is still there, but it doesn't have the same picture on it anymore. Okay, look at that. There's the shoulder. Okay, notice anything on the shoulders? They're killing me. They're literally killing me. Because they look at it this way. They got the data from you that they needed to get from you as a result of these types of implants. So they're just continuing the dumps to kill you internally. And they're not allowing the medical establishment to prove this. Look at that right there. I reported that to Scripps Mercy Hospital out here on December 9, 2023, and they called it a rash. That's my side torso directly underneath my armpit. And what do you see here? What do you see here? They're fucking busted. And they know they're busted. Okay? So why would Scripps Mercy Hospital call this a fucking rash? Those are burns. As a result of the implants being interacted with. And because they're sending such massive radiotelemetry dumps to them, they're overloading them. So I put some copper EMF guitar tape on the skin so that the energy wouldn't go from here to surrounding other implants. And that trapped the current in these areas. There's directly underneath the armpit. Okay? What do you see there? Implant directly underneath the armpit. Boom. See, because the copper EMF tape that I taped on my body, that trapped the current, so the current couldn't use the skin to go to the next implant. And so the current kept getting built up in this area, and it created the burns. That's directly underneath the armpit. And what do you see here? Directly underneath the armpit. Okay? Directly, you can see this is directly underneath the armpit. Look, I'm literally lifting up my arm. Okay? And what do you see over here? One directly underneath the armpit, and then more implants directly about 2 inches below that. Okay? And that, my fellow American citizens, are these. They're fucking busted. Okay? Does that look like a rash to you? Okay? So thank you for listening. And remember the laser interface right here between here and the neck that I showed you a few minutes ago? There's no way that's an accident. That's how they're feeding the implants. The laser energy goes through the skin, finds the implants, and the implants become activated. I gotta let you go because I just got a signal on my phone saying I got 15% left of battery power. Have a good day, everybody.